Hey everybody, it's Naya. Welcome back to Naya Reason Smiles.
I should have bought black curtains. Black is so much more cheerful.
Darling, you remembered.
You have gone too far. You have destroyed his spirit. You have taken him from us. All that I could forgive. What? Pastel?
Hey guys! Okay, so today I'm going to be doing my October TBR. I have not done a TBR in a long time. 1, 2, 3, 4. But for the month of October, I really wanted to have a set list. I've been pretty good with consistently reading. I've been reading on average 1 to 2 books a week. My TBR that I'm about to show you is not super extreme. It's very reasonable. I feel like I should title this video a reasonable TBR. The very first book on my list, let me scooch over here so I can put a little photo because it hasn't come out yet. Otherwise, I would be holding the physical copy for you. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. You guys, I have been waiting 2+ years for this book. Victoria Schwab, if you don't know, she wrote this book called Vicious. It is one of my favorite books of all times. I have read it and reread it. I have a tattoo for it, which I'm not gonna show you, but it's on my body. I think it was like a year or 2 ago that Victoria Schwab announced that she's gonna be writing this book that she originally had the idea for years ago, but just never had the time to write it because she was finishing up the Darker Shade of Magic series. This book, it sounds like it's gonna be a mix between fantasy, but also historical fiction. It is an adult novel, which I'm so excited about because all of Victoria Schwab's adult novels are my favorite. Vengeful was the last book I read by her, which was the second book to Vicious. Vicious is still my favorite though, don't tell anybody. This book starts off in the year 1714, I believe. So it starts off in France. We're following our main character who, in a moment of desperation, she makes a deal with the devil in order to be immortal. But the catch or the curse that comes with that is that every person she meets then after forgets her. So no one remembers her, but she lives forever, which sounds incredibly sad. The perfect premise for a book. 300 years later though, she goes into a bookstore and she meets a boy or a young man for the first time, and he's the first person in 300 years to remember who she is. I don't know if that means her curse is broken or if this person has some sort of special ability, or maybe he like made a deal with the devil too. I have been hypothesizing about this book. I am incredibly excited about this one. Okay, the next book on my list, you guys, promise not to judge me. I told you I had some old books on here. This one came out in 2011, so your girl's about 10 years behind. The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This book is on some of your guys' favorites lists of all times. Books that made you cry, books that made you question life. Funny thing about this book, since I started YouTube about 5 years ago, I have consistently been recommended The Night Circus, and I have consistently not read it. I'm gonna read it during the fall. I'm gonna read it when it snows. I'm gonna read it when it's like spooky season. And then I don't. My feet are going numb as I'm sitting on my ground here. As you could probably guess from the title, this book is about a circus that only appears at night. It's very mysterious, very whimsical. You can never predict where it's gonna be, and it's never in the same place twice. I think those are all the rules for the Night Circus. We're following 2 characters who are both magicians, I believe, and they are the ones who are putting on the show, or like putting on at least parts of the show. What the audience that comes to see the Night Circus doesn't know is that these 2 magicians are actually competing against each other. The circus is actually the stage for these incredible duels. But what the 2 magicians don't know is that it is actually a duel to the death. At the end of this competition, only one of them is gonna come out alive. To add to the suspense and plot, 2 magicians are actually falling in love, which just makes everything more complicated. Written in rich, seductive prose, this spell-casting novel is a feast for the senses and the heart. I'm crying and I haven't even started the book yet. My heart is just, it's ready for a feast. It's supposed to actually get delivered today or tomorrow. I ordered it on Amazon Prime, so hopefully it'll get here soon. And this is actually the first book I plan on reading for October, so definitely anticipate a reading vlog coming your way soon. Okay, what else is on my list here? This list was super long and I had to cut it down. Okay, oh my god. Okay, so the next book on this list actually came out in July, or was it June or July? It came out during the summer and I had it saved on my Instagram because as soon as I saw the cover, it just, I don't know what this book is about, but I need it in my life. The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. You guys, this probably is the only actual kind of gothic horror vibe of a novel that I have. Surprisingly, most of the books on my list are more like witchy sort of magic books, a little less like horror thriller. The Year of the Witching, this book, okay, it's a fantasy book and it takes place in a made-up world, which most fantasy books do. Okay, I don't know why I said that. We're following our main character and she has grown up in this very small village that is extremely religious. So it's run by this person called the Prophet, and he pretty much like makes all the rules. It kind of gives me the Forest of Hands and Teeth vibes. If anybody has read that one, it's a zombie book. It's one of my favorites of all time. We're following our main character who was born out of wedlock. Our main character is biracial, which brought a ton of shame onto the family on top of her being born out of wedlock. She's just done everything possible to follow the rules, to go to church, to just do everything right, even though no one will ever really see her as being a good person because of who she is, her race. They're just surrounded by the dark woods, which is where spirits and creatures and witches kind of live and exist. And one day our main character ends up going into the dark woods and meeting spirits who give her her mother's diary. Her mother passed away, and she finds out all this stuff about her mother, that her mother actually like knew the witches. Not only that, but our main character is starting to develop dark powers, so she might be a witch, I don't know. The book's called The Year of the Witching, so I'm gonna guess she might be a witch. Next book on my list, I actually do have a physical copy of The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. I have just another book that I've heard amazing things of. A couple of my friends have read this book and just loved it. So this book actually takes place in modern day New York, and in this world magic has all but gone extinct except for a few mages who still exist and can do magic, but they have gone underground and they hide their powers and their magical abilities because I imagine it's really dangerous to be one of the few left who have magic. Any mage or magician that tries to cross into Manhattan ends up getting stuck there because there's this thing called the Brink, which is a magical dark force that traps you there. They try to come back, they completely lose their powers or die. If I was a magician in New York, I would just like I would just leave New York, like just be like, bye, see you. We're following our main character who has the ability to time travel or to bend time. She is a notorious thief and she basically uses her ability to bend time in order to jump to different time periods and steal ancient artifacts. There's also this society or group called the Order, and they're the ones who created the Brink. All of her thievery has been in preparation to time travel and steal an ancient book that has the whole history of the Order and how they created the Brink. Yeah, not only does this book have magic in it, but it also has time travel, and it also has what sounds like a really awesome main character. I'm very excited to read this one. I think this one's also an adult novel as well. The very last book I have on my list here for October is When We Were Magic by Sarah Gailey. This is another witch book, but this one is a little more lighthearted. It's actually described as a queer witch book. So in this book we are following a group of best friends, and the one thing that they all have in common is that they can all do magic. Following this group of best friends, and one day their magic, I'm guessing they try to do some sort of spell or they try to do something, but their magic ends up going awry and they end up killing this boy and have to fix the situation. Fix, I mean, I think they try to bring him back to life, but that ends up going not as planned. They have this entire situation on their hands because they accidentally killed this boy doing magic. Very simple plot, but as I said, it's supposed to be incredibly comedic and just a really fun, lighthearted, magic-y, witchy kind of book. Everything on my TBR list, I wanted to have at least one book that was kind of shorter and more of just like a fun, October read. A couple of my friends who read this also said there was a pretty diverse cast of friends and main characters, and that the dialogue between them was just fantastic. This is the first book I've read by Sarah Gailey, and I'm very excited to get into their books. I have one other book. I think it's another magic book, but I'm not sure the premise, but this is gonna be my very first Sarah Gailey book, so I'm very, very excited for this one. All right, guys, those are all the books that I have on my TBR list for October, so hopefully I can get to all of them. I'm definitely gonna be doing reading vlogs, or at least reading updates on my progress with this TBR. Let me know down below what your reading plans are for October. I'm very curious to see if you're gonna be reading some spooky books, maybe some like spooky romance themed books, any book suggestions that you think I should add to my TBR, or just, yeah, what you guys are reading. I'm very curious. Until next time, keep reading, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!